Today's video is gonna be about change. I guess the whole year has been about change for everybody, but this year a lot of stuff changes, and I don't really want an apple today. Alright, so running a business in game development, indie game development business, is that a word? For now it is. This is a business where things change a lot, and every few years you should change course if needed. And that's pretty much where I am at this year. So things are changing this year. For example, this video right here on the channel today, this one that you're watching right now, it's a little bit different and changed from what I've been doing all these weeks. But to be honest, I've been a bit lazy on this channel. All these devlogs are great, but they're also pretty easy to make. And I wasn't being very creative on the channel, and the whole point for me as a creator of this channel is to be creative. Doing weird and interesting things with the camera and the video, and these devlogs are just me sitting at the desk talking about my game, which is still important and still interesting to do, just a little less creative, but mostly because I didn't have a lot of time in the recent weeks. And doing devlogs is just easier than this video I'm doing right now. So things change every now and then. So 2011, I released my first game on iOS, and for that I needed a Mac Mini, which was my first experience with a Mac ever. I've been a Windows guy before that for all those years, like most people. This was my first Mac. It's a 2006 Mac Mini. By the time I bought it, it was already old. Now it's really old, ancient, and I don't think it's still working, but I needed a Mac because the only way to develop and release games on iOS to this day is to do it on a Mac. You can develop on Windows PCs or Linux, but if you want to release it, build it, upload to the App Store, you need a Mac. So I needed a Mac. But as I mentioned a couple of times now, things change, and recently Apple has been a bit going crazy with their plans on where the Mac is heading. Games need to be notarized, which just simply costs money to developers for an automated process that really doesn't do much or add much value to a user, even though Apple will tell you it does. It doesn't, which means a lot of games on the Mac will not be playable through Steam, for example. You can still download them through itch.io, and then you can run them, but you need to know how. And it's just an extra hurdle for game developers to release games on a Mac. Besides that, they're also fading out stuff like OpenGL and not embracing a Vulkan, which is pretty much the standard that everybody else embraces except Apple. They prefer to use their own version of it. So developers need to create special versions for Apple systems, and it's a mess. Also, most of the people playing and buying games on a PC are using Windows. It's like 98% Windows and then 1% Linux, 1% Mac. So if most of my audience is on Windows, shouldn't I be on Windows as well? So I'm doing development for consoles, even though if I'm just testing the versions and Friedel is doing most of the work, I still need a Windows PC to install everything on the dev kit and test it. Right now I've been abusing my wife's laptop for it, but that means I had to grab it, boot it up, connect it, all that stuff. And when I have my own Windows laptop, That should be a lot easier. And of course Xbox and probably PlayStation are all having the same issue. Their software isn't available for Mac. So development will have to be done on Windows. So it would be a lot smarter and more interesting for me to have a Windows laptop. This is it. This is my first Windows laptop in about 10 years, 11 years. I've been looking for a good Windows laptop since the start of this year, since March. Haven't found one and just decided this week to pick one up. And this one costs less than a third of a new MacBook, which is a pretty good deal because my old MacBook is getting a bit flaky. It's not perfect. The battery has problems. Shutting it down and booting it back up sometimes just leaves you with a black screen or doesn't shut down at all. It's a little bit of an old Mackie. I can still use it for certain things and I will be needing it to build iOS builds of my game. But most of my stuff and most of my time I'll be trying to get comfortable on Windows again. After 10 years. Now I also hope to be able to do some streaming of game development or just me playing my own games. But I'll first have to get comfortable with the whole layout of Windows and being able to quickly edit stuff, because just the shortcut keys for jumping to the end of a line in an editor and selecting everything or just certain words or all those things are a little bit different on the Mac. So that's going to require some time. I'm still hitting the wrong keys every now and then. But I think I did a good thing. So yeah, getting a Windows PC, pretty big change. Also with Residual, my main goal is to have a good PC game first before mobile, which is another change. I've tried it before, but Residual is probably gonna be that game where I really make a good PC game first, and then we'll see how to release it on iOS and Android, because I'm still gonna release on iOS as long as possible and also on Mac. But as all other Mac users know, gaming just isn't the thing that a Mac is built for. This also allows me to play a lot of other indie games, a lot of games I had to miss out on because it was just not available on Mac or my Mac couldn't handle it. So I should be able to play a lot more games, which is another good change because that gives me a lot of inspiration for my own games. So win-win. A lot of changes. Me working on a Windows PC is gonna take some time to get used to it, but then hopefully I'll be doing some random streaming here and there now and then. Just follow me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and I'll usually announce that I will be streaming, and you can hop on the stream or not. That's up to you, of course. Alright, not sure what next week's video is gonna be about because I have a couple of days that I'm not working due to other stuff happening, and I also had a couple of days this week that I wasn't working. So there's just not a lot of content to show, there's not a lot of new stuff to show. So I'm not really sure what next week's video will be about, but perhaps I could talk about Residual having a publisher. I could talk about, oh no wait, I can't talk about that because I can't really mention a lot about it except that Residual has a publisher. So we're not gonna talk about it, but I guess I mentioned it now. So Residual has a publisher, which is another huge change this year happening. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff happening and changing, but it's all good. I think it's all good. I'm pretty sure it's all good. So whatever happens next week, I'll try to have a video up there. Like, subscribe, comment below. If you have questions or whatever, ask them below because maybe I can do a Q&A next week. We'll see. See you next week. Bye. Oh, before I go, I'm also going to edit this video on Windows for the first time. It's the same program, DaVinci Resolve, so it should be fairly easy and normal, but I'm gonna try it, and if all fails, I still have my MacBook to do it on. So, but I'm gonna try it on the Windows PC. Wish me luck. This is like a fun. The cat is just destroying this whole take. Thanks, Iki.